There comes a moment in the creativity of your career that you just draw inspiration from anywhere. In this particular moment, right there as her wings encapsulate, that's what inspired me to make this particular version of Sailor Moon. Rather than to show a whole bunch of random videos from Instagram, I wanted to go ahead and just bring you stills and talk you through my process. I first started with just a bunch of dollar store ribbon, and I kind of strewn that about my dress form in the kind of way that I wanted it layered. Next up, I actually created a bodysuit from a stretch knit fabric because I thought I could go ahead and put the shiny fabric onto there, which is what I eventually wound up doing. Afterwards, we worked with this lame fabric, and I cut it into strips that were about 3.5 inches, put a bunch of interfacing on the back, or at least as much interfacing as I had, hemmed the edges to be 3 5/8 or something like that, hemmed those, and then attached everything in a kind of a layering pattern to a circular disc. And so we had the shoulders and the basis for how it connects. Using Momo Kurumi's bow pattern, I went ahead and created a bow of the same material. And then eventually I just went ahead and, with more strips and more interfacing, gradually filled in the gaps. Those triangles were for the rear part, and how I kind of layered that about. And so now we have this interesting shell, and it became a thing. And so I still needed to fill in some more gaps and pieces and such, but so far so good. Afterwards, I trimmed everything up. Oh, and I also I bought the wireless charger to see if I could use that as a brooch, but it was just way too heavy, so I wound up actually getting a smaller one from an Etsy provider, and I hot glued that on with some safety pins. For the leg and gloves, I wrapped myself in saran wrap, then duct taped myself, drew out the pattern, cut that shit out, layered it how it is that I wanted it, and then rinsed and repeated that process. Because you'll notice in the transformation sequence, the ribbons that get strewn about her do so kind of in a circular motion, and I don't know if it's from top to bottom or from bottom to top. But that's what I wanted the gloves and the boots to mimic. The actual hand part of the glove, I just traced my own gloves. Also, when making gloves, please make sure that you leave yourself enough of a seam allowance, because they always wind up to be too tight, and I actually had to make 2 sets of gloves. This is for the boot pattern, and then I also sacrificed a nice pair of flats, duct taped that with saran wrap beneath that, and that became my actual boot cover or shoe cover. I learned later that Yaya Han actually has a pattern for all of this, and I'm distraught, but you know, it's okay, it's alright, we learned how to do it. And so again, I hemmed all of this, stacked it on top of one another, sewed it all together, and that's where the glove came from. Yeah. The boot was a little tricky just because I have fat calves, and if you're going to duct tape yourself for a pattern, please make sure you have some layers in between. But once I got everything all assembled, it actually wasn't that bad. As mentioned, hot gluing the brooch to some button packs. Here's some random inspiration from one of my friends on Instagram. In between all of this, I also ordered a twirling ribbon from Amazon, and I practiced this for my runway performance. Next up, I needed to make the Galaxy sparkly bodysuit, and so we started with hot pink spandex. And I use, I think, another cosplay pattern. This is a McCall's pattern. Once I got all the pieces cut out with some RIT fabric dye, I actually spackled it to get some of the dark dimension, rinse that out as many times as necessary. And then I took a light purple and a light pink and some of the glitter as mentioned, sprayed that. And that's where we got the Galaxy-esque look. And then took some white fabric paint to add and make dots for stars. And there you have it. I only added the fabric paint to the arms and the legs because that's what's visible from beneath the ribbon suit. But it came out really awesome, and I'm gonna make me some leggings like that. Finally getting everything whisked together, we have our wonderful ribbon shell. We fused that on top of the knit spandex suit. Also, again, in the midst of all of this, practicing some more with the ribbons. Here I am at karate class, twirling a bit. And even though I practiced as much as I possibly could, I still kind of forgot a few of these moments when the actual stage performance came, because of course there was lights. The room was literally standing room only, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Although I think I am going to continue to practice with these ribbons and make it a thing, because they can be kind of whimsical and magical when you really know what it is that you're doing. The last part of construction for this cosplay consisted of trying to get my wig to be the right shade of pink. And I actually bought 3 different wigs from Amazon and used the RIT Dye More synthetic dye and a little bit of pink and a little bit of red. But I finally got it to the shade that I needed. And boy, that was tough, but finally, you know, 3rd time's a charm, and that's all that matters. Eventually, I curled the ends of the wig with flexi rods, and I curled the bangs with a tiny flat iron. Here it is outside in the sunlight so that you can see some more of that color and how it all came to be. And there's your girl. Yay. Afterwards, here's the suit. Fused, but almost done. There were a couple pieces I needed to fix. That's the back and what it looked like and how I needed to fix that layering. Here is the test run of everything. I showed you my brooch. Please respond. And then using some of BH Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes, went ahead and did a test run of the makeup. Put the wig on just for kicks and giggles. And yeah, that was a thing.
Making stuff is my happy place, so you will always see me on this channel. You will always see me creating something in some way, shape, or form, because that's what brings me peace. And cosplaying and expressing my love of whatever fandom it is, whether it's DC and Wonder Woman, whether it's Marvel and Spider-Girl, whether we want to go over to anime with Sailor Moon. By the way, NakaKon 2019, stay ready so that you don't have to get ready, because I'm coming for that cosplay contest of something under my belt. But making stuff makes me happy.
And here is the final result. For most of the convention, I only kept my gloves on for photo ops, just because the lame fabric does not have any stretch in any way, shape, or form. Hi, Gabrielle. There's baby. The moon emblem is reused from my last Sailor Moon cosplay. And the wings are as well. But again, the wings I did construct. There's my black lady. Hi, Shiru. And here's another one of my Karate Kids. Nope, what's good? And so the convention itself was wild. I didn't realize how big or how impactful this cosplay would be. This video here is from my photo shoot with Lauren Schreier of BB Cosplay 93. And so I didn't realize how much of an impact this would make, how many people would receive this cosplay and receive it well. One of the things that's not featured here is I made upgrades to my wings, to the harness for them. I added 4 D-rings to help keep them in place. And I also added additional feathers on the back. And you'll see that once I spin around, you'll see that it kind of looks a little seamless. The D-rings and the actual binding fabric for those, you can't really tell. And the first time I wore the wings, they kept popping out of the holster just because I made them, you know, to be able to be removed. But this time, I only lost one of them. That's me exasperated being taken by my best friend. But in this particular time, I only lost one of them, and it was actually during the photo shoot when there was really strong winds. But other than that, they stayed on the entire time. Everything, literally, this was great. The few things that went wrong with the cosplay, as everything does go wrong, some of the zippers were a little too tight once I got everything completely fitted. Some of my face paint came off before I even got there to judging, and the hot glue that I used for my brooch started to come apart. Thank God for Fix-It Felix and the cosplay repair lounge that they had there. I was able to get everything taken care of. I had brought my face paint with me, and so I was able to get everything literally in tip-top shape to where you couldn't even tell anything was wrong. Here I am with baby playing around with the ribbons because it's wonderful. And pure fan service. One of my friends in my Sailor Moon group said I need a video of you twirling around, so you know, to help satisfy. There's that. Other than that, this was 14 weeks of ridiculous hard work and a lot of missed sleep. Going to work with pink glitter in my hair from the different fabric. Here you'll see some other pictures from some of my other friends at the cosplay contest, and then a few of the behind the scenes. But it was worth it, and I would do it all over again. And you know, it's so wild to look back months ago and say that I was coming for this contest, and I really did. I went into this contest thinking, with all the work that I've done, I'd hope I should come out with at least a judge's choice. But as it turns out, I actually won Best Craftsmanship. for a beginner. I entered only at the beginner level because this is my second cosplay contest, but I actually took the best at something. Like, that's wild. And as a result of this and my previous win from Planet Comic-Con in 2018, I have been promoted to intermediate / journeyman cosplayer. So, yay for that. But like, look, we did the thing, y'all. We really did.